What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another MLB High Five video with your boy. Hopefully, opening day worked out for everybody. GreenlightDFS.com to join the squad. Drop a like down below. Comment anything in the comment section and enter your name into the $50 giveaway that I do every single week on this channel. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for joining me as always. As you know, I'm going to put in a core of 5 guys to get you started for the slate today. I'm also going to just quickly break down who I like kind of just real quickly go position by position. Not going to spend a ton of time and go through every player, but position by position, just kind of go over guys that I like that I won't be like really full on locking in the high five. All right. So starting out, first and foremost, Blake Snell is one of the guys I really like here going against Arizona. It's a very fantastic situation for him. He's a very solid pitcher in general. Um, Darvish did get hit by Arizona pretty well last game, but I believe in Snell. He's got a 36% K rate versus lefties, 31% K rate versus righties. He's a very solid pitcher, and I'm perfectly fine with going right back to a San Diego pitcher. I did not play Darvish yesterday, but I'm perfectly fine with going right back to one today and playing him today. Blake Snell, fantastic option today. Really love him. Huge strikeout rate, and that's what's key in DFS at the end of the day. So Arizona had a very good opening day. We'll see if that continues. I believe that Snell should be able to take advantage here. So I'm going to go with Snell. If you don't want to go that route, we'll talk about some other options as soon as I get my SP2 in. SP2, Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez is a solid pitcher. All right, plain and simple. He is a solid pitcher, okay? Now, Alcantara looked really good yesterday, okay, against this same squad. All right, Vegas implied totals only 3.8 runs for this Tampa Bay team. Pablo Lopez is a very solid option. I love him. He's my favorite SP2 possible. He's not great versus lefties, but he does have over a 24% K rate versus righties. This Tampa Bay team does have Kiermaier, Lowe, Meadows, Wendell, who got some lefties in there, but they're also going to strike out a good bit versus righties, man. This Tampa Bay lineup has over a 30% strikeout rate versus right-handed pitching. So I think Pablo Lopez is a very solid option. He's got a decent K rate, so I really like Pablo. All right. Now, if you don't want to go Snell because you Darvish just got rocked yesterday and you're worried about this Arizona offense, then you can completely go somewhere else. So let's take a look at the options that we have today. Um, you obviously can go Christian Javier. Christian Javier is a guy who's got a solid strikeout rate. He's got 30% strikeouts to righties, 20 over 23 to lefties. He's not great versus lefties, but Oakland does have Olson, but M. Moreland and Lowry. But most of this lineup probably is going to be righties, which you'll have to see what they end up rolling out, plain and simple. If they roll out a ton of righties, then Javier's going to be very solid at 6'5". I think he's solid. He's got a solid K rate here, so he's a decent option. I've talked about Kikuchi a lot. I do like some San Francisco bats against Kikuchi, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, he does give it up pretty solid to righties. He almost gives up a 300 batting average in a 232 ISO to righties. So some of these San Francisco righties are definitely guys that you can use to pick on him. Andrew Heaney, I wouldn't really use against this White Sox offense, even though he does have a 27% K rate versus lefties and a 25 versus righties. He's decent. It's just the options that we have on the slate aren't fantastic. That's why I kind of like Snell and I kind of like just going Pablo Lopez because they're both feel pretty damn good. I don't love Trevor Bauer in cores. I'm a huge Trevor Bauer fan. I think he's an absolute monster. Any pitcher that's going to tell people exactly what he's throwing and still strike him out, it's just ridiculously good. And I have nothing but respect for him. And I love this dude as a player in general. And I love what he's doing for the sport too, having that momentum thing going that he's got going on and YouTube videos and stuff like that. So it's really interesting and it's really cool what he's doing. So I think Trevor Bauer's okay in GPPs if you want to go that route because nobody's going to go that route. But Blake Snell for now in the high five. All right. So let me put Blake Snell back in. Now let's go ahead and go to our bats at shortstop. I gotta go Corey Seager, but I got another guy I really gotta talk about because I was really torn here. Because y'all know Tim Anderson has won us so much money in MLB DFS. Tim Anderson has been my guy. Now let me break this down to you because the only thing that gives Seager the bump, I'm going to break down the numbers for both of these guys. Okay, and the only thing that gives Seager the bump is the hitting environment that he has today in the lefty-righty against Sensatella, who's a worse pitcher than Heaney is. All right, but let's go against this. Now, let's check this out. Let's look at their numbers battled against each other because it's really Seager or Tim today. That's what it comes down to, who you want to play. And I think Tim will be the lower owned version, but let's just take a look at the numbers. Tim Anderson, 370 batting average versus lefties. He is a bona fide lefty masher. Love playing Tim Anderson versus lefties at any moment. White Sox have a 4.8 implied total, which is very solid. All right. He also has a 290 ISO and a 449 WOBA versus lefties, both elite numbers. He is a solid player. He's a double dunk potential versus any lefty in the league. Love Tim Anderson. He is 5'5". It might come down to one of those situations where it depends. If you need the 300, you can save it with Tim Anderson over Seager, no problem. If you don't, then you might as well go Seager because most likely you probably have multiple Dodgers and you're probably stacking in cores, and that's fine. In GPPs, if you're playing GPP, getting off of a higher owned Seager for Tim Anderson makes complete sense to me. All right, but yeah, Tim Anderson's numbers elite. Now let's talk Seager because he's not a slouch. 311 batting average versus righties, 261 ISO, 401 WOBA, so just as elite numbers. Yes, Tim Anderson's numbers are better in every category, but not by a mile. And Tim also has the worst hitting environment. He's going against a better pitcher in Andrew Heaney, where Corey Seager's got a better hitter environment. It's a 6.9 implied total for Dodgers, so they're going to rock. And he's going against a worse pitcher in Sensatella. So I'm going to put Seager in the high five, but I'm completely fine with anybody making the decision to go Tim Anderson there as well. Okay? I just wanted to talk about both because I love those dudes. I love both options. All right, in the outfield, I got to go with my boy Cody Bellinger. His numbers just stick out a lot to me here, and I love Dodgers today, obviously. All right, Cody Bellinger going against Sensatella is in a fantastic position. All right, he's got a 269 ISO and a 386 WOBA. Any player with that type of power in cores is a fantastic play. Now, it all just comes down to what kind of salary you have. Okay, and I'm telling you right now, the lineups I've built already this morning, I'm perfectly okay with going Seager and Bellinger and paying for Blake Snell. I've been perfectly fine with doing so, and I'm going to tell you why. I have a value bet that I really, really like here. Okay, he did not make the start yesterday, but mainly because they were going against a left-handed pitcher. Now they're going against Trevor Bauer, the righty. I am projecting Sam Hilliard to get the start, and he's got the lefty-righty matchup against Trevor Bauer. Now keep an eye on this, obviously. This is just my prediction. Colorado, even going against Trevor Bauer, has a 5.3 implied total. One thing that Bauer has struggled with throughout his career is he can give up the long ball. He can give up some power. He can give up some home runs, and that's an issue with anybody in the league. You know what I mean? There's a lot of elite pitchers that give up home runs, a good bit of home runs. Like Verlander will give up a bunch of home runs. You know what I mean? There's some great pitchers that just tend to give up home runs. But that's not a great thing for Bauer being in cores here because if he does give up too many of those mistakes, it could get ugly fast. So Sam Hilliard, I really, really love him. Now, this isn't a player that has like ridiculous power or nothing like that. He's just an amazing value play, lefty-righty matchup at 2-3 in a very hitter-friendly environment and gets you a very solid value on this slate. All right, so that is it for the high five. Blake Snell, Pablo Lopez, Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger, and Sam Hilliard is going to be my high five for DraftKings. Sam Hilliard really opens things up with that value. Obviously, keep an eye on that. Like I said, he did not start opening day, but that's because they were going against Clayton Kershaw, I'm imagining. Now that they're going against the righty Trevor Bauer, expect the lefty Hilliard to be in the lineup, most likely. All right? But pay attention to that, obviously. All right? Now, real quick, we will go position by position, and then we'll get into my home run predictions real quick. 1 second. All right. We'll get into my home run predictions in just a moment. But let's go ahead and go position by position and just talk guys whose numbers stick out to me as of right now as solid options today. Okay? Now, starting off at, let's go ahead and talk catcher. Why not? Let's go position by position for sure. Now, okay, starting off at catcher. Number 1 on my list is Will Smith. Number 1 on my list is Will Smith. Okay? Will Smith is a fantastic option today. I love him against Sensatella. He has a 316 ISO and a 385 WOBA versus right-handed pitching, so Will Smith is a fantastic choice. I will have a ton of him if I'm able to, money-wise. If money is able to be, if I'm able to do that, I will do that. Really like Will Smith in the power category here. Another guy that sticks out to me power-wise and can get you home runs is Yasmani Grandal. Obviously, Yasmani Grandal has a solid matchup here. He's got a 250 ISO versus lefties and a 387 WOBA, so he's a solid option as well. Let's look at just batting average in general. If you just want a guy who will get on base for cheap, Jorge Alfaro for Miami against lefties is very solid. He has a 284 average, a 284 batting average versus lefties. So if you want to save some money, Alfaro for Miami is a perfectly fine option going against the lefty Yarbrough at 2-4. Okay, super, super cheap. Opens things up as always. I mean, we have a game in Coors. You're going to need some values. I gave you guys Sam Hilliard. That should open things up as well, as long as he's in the starting lineup. So, yeah, I love Alfaro as a value. All right, let's go first base. First base real quick. I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, all right? Now, when it comes to batting average, obviously one of my favorite plays, period, is going to be Jose Abreu at first base. Jose Abreu is just an absolute beast versus lefties. 329 batting average, 297 ISO, 430 WOBA. Like, the numbers are just elite for Jose Abreu. He's fantastic, but he is 5'8". So, I mean, you're having to spend some money. Let's talk about down in the more affordable range. Mitch Moreland for Oakland against Javier. He's got a 273 batting average, but what sticks out to me here is the 289 ISO and the 386 WOBA. He's a very solid, consistent player versus right-handed pitching. Mitch Moreland's very solid at only 3.6. Asdrubal Cabrera. Let me pull up Cabrera. Asdrubal Cabrera for Arizona. I know he's going against our pitcher, so I'm not going to have a ton of them as long as I have Snell. But he does have a 315 batting average, a 258 ISO, and a 393 WOBA versus lefties. So that could be legit. In all honesty, in all seriousness, Arizona could possibly be a very, very solid team. Offense this year, just playing on just getting base. A lot of these guys are good at getting on base, plain and simple. But Blake Snell is a solid pitcher, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. All right. Who else do I want to talk about? Matt Olson's got some huge numbers versus righties. Let me find Matt Olson. Matt Olson, 272 average, but a 295 ISO and a 400 WOBA. So Matt Olson and Jose Abreu are at the top of the list when it comes to first base as just power options. And then if you want to save some money, it's going to be Mitch Moreland. All right, saving some money at first base is going to be Mitch Moreland as a solid option. Obviously, you've got C.J. Cron still in Coors that you can play as well. You've got those guys down there. All right, second base. Now, once again, Ketel Marte is going to be a solid option, just like he was yesterday. His price did jump up to 3.3, and we have Blake Snell, so I'm not going to play much of him. But I will say that Ketel Marte, 365 average, 277 ISO, 438 WOBA versus left-handed pitching. He hits lefties very, very well. So Marte is a decent option. If you're not going Snell, Marte and Cabrera are solid to go against him. He might be high owned, so I understand that. Jose Altuve. I really like him, but he is priced at 5'6". All right. He's got a 299 batting average, 299 ISO, 411 WOBA. Very good numbers for him. One guy that sticks out to me as a solid option at a good price is Jake Cronenworth for San Diego. Cronenworth is 3'4". He's got a 333 batting average, 268 ISO, and a 422 WOBA. So Cronenworth is a solid option. Let's see what else we got that sticks out. Donovan Solano, righty-lefty against Kikuchi. Let me go Solano. Donovan Solano is a solid option against Kikuchi, righty-lefty. He doesn't have a ton of power, but he does get on base. 337 batting average versus left-handed pitching. So he's a solid option if you want to save a little bit. David Fletcher, 328 batting average versus lefties. Lori Garcia, 314 batting average versus lefties. So we've got some solid options at that position. Chris Owings is not very good versus righties. I won't have much of him, but he is 3-1 in Coors. Guys like Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux could end up getting the start. He's a solid option against righties. So Pay attention to that as well. So just really, you want to pay attention to exactly what the lineup is for the Dodgers Colorado and take advantage of the cheap parts there, and then play these other guys who just have are in fantastic spots. All right. Let's talk third base real quick. We're taking a long time. We still got home run predictions to do. All right, I'm just going to go through it real quick. Alex Bregman's at the top of the list numbers-wise. 360 average, 343 ISO, 483 WOBA versus lefties. Love him. Anthony Rendon has always been good versus lefties. 320 average, 279 ISO, 434 WOBA. Love Rendon. Down around the more, affordable range. Brian Anderson's not bad versus lefties. 274 average. 215 ISO, 360 WOBA, not bad. You still have Justin Turner here. His price did go up to 5.3. Kyle Seager, lefty-righty matchup, not a great matchup. Like, Kyle Seager is one of those guys that I believe is better versus lefties than he is righties. His numbers versus righties are not very good. And that's about it. Let's move on to shortstop real quick. Obviously, you know my feelings on shortstop. It's Tim Anderson or it's Corey Seager. Plain and simple. Tatis is also an okay option, but he's 6K. No need to go there. Mauricio Dubon as a value. Let me pull him up. Mauricio Dubon as a value against Kikuchi. Dubon's only 2.7. He's got the righty-lefty matchup, and he does have a 299 batting average versus left-handed pitching, so he's a solid option as well. Chris Taylor for the Dodgers has a 271 batting average versus righty, so if he gets in the starting lineup, he's decent. All right. Outfield real quick. I'm not going to go over a million of these guys. I'm just going to go over them real quick. Randy Arozarena is solid versus righties. 304, 348 ISO, 431 WOBA. Ketel Marte can be played in the outfield as well. Mookie Betts, very solid versus righties. Mike Trout, don't need to explain that. One of the best players in the world. He's very solid versus lefties. Adam Duvall at 3.5 has good power versus lefties, 267 ISO. Austin Meadows, solid power versus righties, 235 ISO. Austin Slater sticks out to me. He has a 287 average and a 377 WOBA versus lefties. He's 3.5. Like I said, San Francisco righties are interesting to me against Kikuchi. Mitch Haniger is a solid option. He's got the stolen base potential that he can get you. He doesn't have just amazing numbers, but he is going against Cueto, who's starting to slowly decline. Mauricio Dubon, righty-lefty matchup. Obviously, I talked about him. He can be playing the outfield as well. 299 average. He gets on base. Plain and simple. Those guys are Luis Robert. Let's talk about Luis Robert. Luis Robert looked great last season, but he is 5'3", and his numbers don't stick out too crazy. Anybody else that I want to talk about? Lori Garcia, I've already mentioned. I've pretty much gone over everybody. Now, let's go home run predictions, y'all. All right, ready? Write these names down if you need to. All of these guys are my favorite options to play. These are the guys I'm going to just predict home runs out of. I'm going to try to keep it as affordable as possible. I'm going to run through a few names, obviously at the top, because obviously we've got some good spots here. Cody Bellinger. Gotta expect him to get one. I'm gonna go Cody Bellinger. I'm gonna rock Jose Abreu. I talked about how good he is versus lefties. I'm gonna go Mitch Haniger as a value at 3-1. Really like him. Let's see some cheaper guys. Austin Meadows at 4-1. Adam Duvall, I talked about for a second. I like his value. Who else? Let's go Ryan McMahon for Colorado. A cheap lefty on that team to give you guys some potential there. Mitch Moreland with the lefty-righty matchup. So there we go. We've got Cody Bellinger. We've got Jose Abreu. We've got Mitch Haniger. We've got Austin Meadows, Adam Duvall. And then we're going to finish it off with Ryan McMahon and Mitch Moreland as the home run predictions for the day. Good luck, you guys. Blake Snell, Pablo Lopez, Seager, Bellinger, Hilliard. Completely fine with going Tim Anderson over Seager to get lower owned. And Anderson does have the better numbers, not the better matchup overall, though. Okay? Thank you guys for joining me. I'm out.